This episode of Parenting Great Kids is brought to you by NHCPS. Friends, 4 out of 5 cardiac arrests and medical emergencies happen at home. That's an 88% chance the life you save with CPR will be your child, spouse, or friend. NHCPS.com is an online CPR certification provider where you can become CPR certified for free. Learn CPR for free with NHCPS.com. Just go to NHCPS.com/Meg and use the coupon code MEG at checkout. That's coupon code MEG at NHCPS.com/Meg. And by Be Frugal. If you're an online shopper, you have to try Be Frugal Cashback. It's like free money. Be Frugal lets you earn up to 40% cash back on your purchase from over 5,000 stores, including Amazon, Walmart, Target, Macy's, and more. It's like getting paid to shop. Shop through Be Frugal this holiday season and take advantage of the highest cash back rates of the year. Visit BeFrugal.com/Meg and get a $10 bonus when you join for free. That's BeFrugal.com/Meg today. For 30 plus years, I've seen every type of child grow up.
Instead of giving me what I wanted, she gave me what I needed, which was truth.
Don't let emotions win. Let truth win.
Do your very best, and you should have a lot of fun while you do it. And the better you get at something, the more fun you're going to have at something.
You moms and dads are wired with everything you need to be a parent to a great kid. Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. This is episode number 42. Experiencing Defiant Joy. I'm your host, Dr. Meg Meeker. And friends, today's episode is going to be so much fun. It's just around a year and a half ago when a little Facebook video of a mom taking a moment for herself in a Kohl's parking lot laughed hysterically while wearing a Chewbacca mask. It took over the internet. Do you remember that? Oh my gosh, I could not stop laughing. Through that little 4-minute video, Candace Payne reminded so many millions of people around the world to take moments to enjoy the simple joys of life. Well, now Candace has written her first book, Laugh It Up, Embrace Freedom and Experience Defiant Joy. She's here to talk with me about it and her own personal journey to experiencing freedom and joy. You will love her story. Also in this episode, I'll be featuring a listener question about a little girl who seems to be immune to all of her parents' attempts at discipline. As always, I'll share my points to ponder so you can start using them right away. And parents, remember, don't just download the episodes. Click subscribe. When you do that, you're joining my parenting revolution, and every new episode will automatically show up in your subscribed list. And we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. Not only are we on iTunes, but the Parenting Great Kids podcast is also available in the Google Play Store and on Stitcher. So no matter where you get your podcast, subscribe today and don't miss a single episode. Now on to my points to ponder. 1. Remember to laugh with your children. You know, parenting is so stressful. I get it. I parented 4 kids who are now grown, and now I have 4 grandkids, and I'm semi-parenting them, and I get it. It's hard. There are conflicts, arguments, exhaustion, expectations that we all experience. And, you know, these not only affect us, but they affect our children as well. When we as moms and dads feel stressed, anxious, and unhappy, unfortunately, our kids pick up on it, and they wear our emotions, if you will. The truth is, none of us laughs enough. Laughter raises hormones in us that makes us feel content. They lower our blood pressure. And we need to give ourselves permission to find ways to bring laughter into our lives. The best ways I know of are to play board games like Balderdash with your kids. Find silly games to play, no matter what age your kids are. You know, my adult kids and I play Balderdash, and it's hysterical. Let your kids give you a makeover. I just spoke at a father-daughter retreat, and these men let their daughters do their hair, their nails, their face, whatever. Let your kids scare you. If your kids are young, tell them to come up with some silly knock-knock jokes, but find a way to bring laughter into your home. Number 2, make having joy a priority. Make joy a priority. You say, well, that doesn't really intuitively make sense. How can you make yourself joyful? I mean, as Candace says, joy isn't always easy to come by. You have to find ways to have joy in your life. As a person myself who's experienced some pretty significant depression in my life, the thought of being able to have joy and hold on to it has emotionally been challenging. But I can also tell you from personal experience that every single one of us, no matter what you're going through, can experience joy. As Candace said, joy is connected to hope. And this makes a lot of sense when you sit and think about it. If you think that the hard things you're experiencing are never going to get any better, why would you have joy? You wouldn't, because you can't have hope. So if you can't have hope, having joy seems like a waste of time. But when we believe in God, as I do, we can have hope that He will help us. You know, that's one of the primary reasons people can have faith or should have faith, is to have hope that the bad things will pass, that life can be better and will be better around the next corner, because that's what God's all about. He's about bringing good from evil, calm from chaos. And honestly, friends, I don't know how we could ever have hope if we didn't have a belief in God. You'd never have hope for heaven if you didn't believe in God. If we believe that life is just what you can see with your eyes, we could be brought down really fast. But it isn't just what we see. We can hold on to God and know that He loves us and He wants to give us joy. He's not a mean person or spirit. We can recruit His help and ask for joy. You've heard friends speak of getting a peace that goes beyond understanding during the tough times. It's exactly the same thing as with joy. God can and will put joy into your heart, but you got to ask. Number 3, don't take yourself so seriously. Let's face it, every one of us feels we have a lot more power than we really do. Power to change our businesses, for me to take care of patients the way nobody else does, or to be the only one at home or work who can get the job done right. But you know what? As much as that may feel good about feeling like we're the only one who can do it, it isn't true. Every single one of us, including me and including you, is replaceable. Well, that's good news, but it's also bad news. The bad news is we're less important than we think we are, but the good news is we can be free from feeling that we carry the burden of the whole world on our shoulders. Somebody else can take over and do our jobs. Yes, they can. You know, many years ago, I was so connected to so many of my teenage patients, I believed that I was the only doctor in our practice who could really help them. I was the one who understood. I was the one who had answers. They had to see me. And the more I believed that, the more they demanded it. And the burden kept me glued to my work, and it made me begin to sink. When I realized that I was replaceable in their lives and that my partners could help them too, I experienced tremendous freedom and the joy that came afterward. And then I could continue to take good care of them without feeling that pressure and that burden. So how are you taking yourself too seriously today? Number 4, refuse self-destructive negative tapes that run in your head. Let's face it, ladies and you men, you've got them in there. Nothing brings a good mom or dad down faster than believing the lies that circulate in their heads. Lies like, I'll never be a good enough dad. I'm not going to be as good as my dad. Or I'm a terrible mom because I yell too much. I'm a loser dad because I never see my kids. They never want to be with me. Or I'm a terrible role model as a mom. They deserve somebody better. First, parents, each and every one of these thoughts is false with a capital F. They're harmful. They paralyze good parents, and they're your thoughts. They're your thoughts. They're not your child's thoughts. So stop them. wage war on those thoughts. Second, they rob you and your children of joy that you both deserve. Many times I see parents feeling really down and never experiencing joy or freedom in their lives or an ease that can come with just living life and raising kids because they believe the lies in their heads that say they're terrible, they're not going to do better, why aren't they like their friends? So this week, I want to ask you to make a conscious habit of recognizing those thoughts and telling them where to go. They do not belong in your head. And when you recognize them, fight them off and then replace them with thoughts like, today I'm going to do one fun thing with my child. We're going to go bowling. We're going to get an ice cream cone after school. We're going to go to the playground. And when we go, I'm going to allow myself to just have fun. If you're a worrier, tell yourself, I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to do this one fun thing with my child for 1 hour. And after that hour's done, I can pick up my worry and worry the whole rest of the night. But for 1 hour, I'm not going to do it. So just let yourself have pure childlike fun. And you can even pretend for a few moments that you're a kid again. Get on a swing set. Makes you feel a little weird in the stomach, but go for it. It's really fun. Friends, it seems like we can't get through a news cycle without hearing another tragic story about a victim of bullying. A child who's beat up, taunted online, or in worst case scenario, has even committed suicide because he can't take the pain anymore. Bullying is more than a problem. It's an epidemic that's taking a toll on an entire generation. Something that used to be limited to the schoolyard and cafeteria is now possible to do anywhere, anytime with technology and social media. Cyberbullying is now just as common, if not more so, than face-to-face bullying. And this digital age has affected our children psychologically in ways we're only now beginning to understand. Whether the bullying occurs in the school or online, parents often feel helpless in this realm. What can you do? How do you protect your child? How do you prevent him or her from being a victim of bullying or from becoming a bully? But as a strong believer in parents, I don't think you're helpless when it comes to bullying. To help you navigate this crucial subject, I've written a special ebook, Bullying, What Every Parent Can Do About It. In this ebook, I discuss topics such as bullying at school, cyberbullying, what you can do if your child is being bullied, and what you can do if your child is the bully. To get your copy of my bullying ebook for only $2.99, go to megmeekermd.com/bullying today. And when you use coupon code BULLYINGPODCAST, I'll give you an extra $1 off. Parents, bullying is an epidemic, but it isn't hopeless. Go to megmeekermd.com/bullying and get your ebook today. Parents, thanks for listening. This is episode number 42. Stay with us. I want to invite you to listen to a wonderful conversation I had with Candace Payne. Candace, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. I have been looking forward to talking to you for weeks.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
On the off chance that some of our listeners don't know who you are Chewbacca Mom. And they may not realize it, but millions of people were first introduced to you because of a little video you recorded in your car after you went to Kohl's and bought yourself a birthday gift. And the rest, as they say, is history. So tell us about how you became to be known as Chewbacca Mom.
Well, I basically posted a video on Facebook Live, and Facebook Live, that platform was not available or around for that long. And it was something that you could just do something live and put it out to your friends on your friends list, and they would see it, and that's fine, and you'd be done. And that was my whole intention, was to show some of my stay-at-home mama friends. I got myself a fun little toy, and I wanted to play with it before I had to adult and pick up my kids from school.
Yeah.
And when I did that, little did I know that once you have something public on Facebook, it can be shared and viewed by anybody. And when you only have about 2,000 friends, that's the maximum. We'll see it. But I ended up, before I went to bed that night, having 1 million views on that little video because it was shared so much. And then when I woke up the next morning, it was 24 million views. And before the weekend was over, it was over 130 million views.
Wow.
And it was not just viral, it was super viral.
Uber viral. Well, I've watched the video several times, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that people were laughing at your great laugh. I mean, you could almost sell your laughter. The Chewbacca mask was funny, but when people see a really happy person, really loving life, and just getting a big kick out of something, it brings out something in you we sometimes feel has gone dormant for a long time. And that's our sense of humor. So I think if anybody hasn't Googled it, you need to go to Chewbacca Mom and Google Candace's video. It's hysterical.
Yeah, let me know what it says, because I've never Googled myself and I refuse to.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah.
No way.
Well, good for you. That speaks to a lot of humility. Because of the viral sensation of the Chewbacca Mom video, you've written a wonderful book that's just come out. It's called Laugh It Up. Embrace freedom and experience defiant joy. I love that. Now, let's dial back a little bit, because in the early part of the book, you go into your childhood. And you had a tough childhood, really. Your mom and dad moved you quite often, you and your siblings. And at one point, you were homeless. Now, we don't often think of someone who has been homeless as having an infectious sense of joy. Tell us about your childhood and how that played into your joy today.
Well, you want to know, the resolve of actually having joy was mirrored and really taught by my family and taught by those years. I never felt as though we were in a tumultuous childhood. I never felt as though my family was in this transition to where it was just dire circumstance. When you go back as an adult and you look at, oh my goodness, if this were me with my children right now, I would feel as though I was losing every battle when I woke up in the morning. Yeah. And to see how my parents raised us and kept the joy alive and kept this sense of wonder and adventure wherever we were, it speaks volumes to how I was raised. The fact that I didn't see it as negative, even in the midst of it, but I found wonder and adventure in it, began my journey to really know what joy is, no matter your circumstances. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the good and the bad, but I'm really grateful for how my parents showed me consistently how to choose joy, no matter what was going on in our lives.
You know, it's so beautiful, because there's one, even as you're writing about some of your dire circumstances, it's funny. I mean, you almost feel bad laughing, but it's funny. You talk about driving in a van somewhere, and when you got to that place, I can't remember where in the book it is, you all of a sudden realize that's where you're going to be staying, is in the van. You weren't going to a hotel or a home. That was your home. So that was the end point. And I didn't mean to laugh, but you said it in a way that was like, this is okay. This is kind of fun. I can do this.
When I look at the beginnings of embracing a life that really says, I'm going to have joy no matter what, the biggest secret that nobody tells you is just laugh at yourself. I think everybody takes themselves and their circumstances too seriously sometimes. And sometimes you have to look at not just the bright side. It's not naivety, and it's not, an escapism from reality. But really just to look at it and say, I don't have it. I don't have it as bad as somebody else. And this is not my last day. This is not my worst day. And let me find the little things that actually can be enjoyable in the midst of this. I think that's a quality we could all do well to have. And I think I just saw that in my family, and I saw it wherever we were, we'd find a way to laugh.
Well, I want all the parents who are listening here to get this very important message, and that we as parents get all wound up about feeling like we're letting our kids down, feeling like we're not giving our kids enough, feeling like we haven't gotten the right tutor, got them into the right soccer program, got them into the right school. And they don't care about that. What they want is to know that home is good and mom and dad are there and they love you. And that's what your story shows. So really, from a child's standpoint, it really communicates, this is what I needed as a kid. And guess what? I didn't have all that other stuff, but I had a great life, because there's a lot of warmth in there. In your book, Laugh It Up, you wrote about a Christmas that you received where one Christmas, all you received were socks and a pack of Lifesavers.
Yeah.
And you wrote, yet I was warm, happy to be with family, and I actually loved those socks. I felt real joy. This is one of Joy's beautiful qualities. She's always content with the simplest of things, even while she hopes for more. It wasn't the socks for which Joy welled up a fountain of gratitude. And I believe that every person listening aches for more joy. They ache for it. So is joy something you have to work hard to get, or are people just naturally joyful but we suppress it?
I believe I wasn't born with the ability and skill to embrace joy. I really wasn't. I believe contentment is something learned. Mm-hmm. And even when you look at scripture, it says, for I have learned to be content. And you know where that scripture is found? Right after the verse that says, for I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Mm-hmm. And then it says, for I have learned to be content. I think that we forget contentment is a choice, and it is something that daily we have to learn that, you know what, I have enough. Even internally, I am enough. Wait a minute. I don't have to strive and struggle with being a better mama or being a better wife or having the best Pinterest board or making sure that my mom blog is got millions of views. What you really need to strive at is looking at everything that you already have in your hands and saying, this is good. This is good, and this is what I need because my God supplies every single need. And I feel like joy is a mirror. I mean, think about what joy really is when we're talking about scripturally what joy is. It is a fruit of the Spirit. It's a fruit of something that is external to us anyways. So how could we ever just feel like I need to muster that up? It's something that you have to choose. You have to invite in. You consistently have to nourish. You have to grow. And you have to make it a choice in every single day. And so that means that I don't get a bigger portion than you. And I wasn't born with a bigger portion than you. It just means I've learned secrets of reveling in the smallest things that lead to extravagant things. And so I feel like that's important for every mama, every daddy, everybody to know is that you can have exactly what I have. And that's why I wrote the book. I didn't want you to feel as though, oh, well, that lady she had rose-colored lenses her whole life and everything given to her on a silver spoon. I have not.
That's why it's so meaningful. I mean, that's why it's so rich. The book is so rich because you didn't have a lot of stuff and things and experiences that a lot of parents are desperately trying to give their kids in order for their kids to feel joy. You didn't have that, and yet you had this tremendous joy. I also think that sometimes we think that joy is something that, as you said, is just supposed to happen. You know, if we get all our ducks in a row and we're walking down the right path and we're doing the right things and things are falling into place, joy will just sort of ooze out of us. And it doesn't. It doesn't. It is work. You describe comparison as a frenemy to joy. What do you mean by that?
I really think that we think comparison is good. We think it's kind of like I'm gauging where I'm doing life. Am I doing it well? Am I doing it as good as this person? Am I doing it as good as this idea or quote that just came across my Instagram feed? You know, I mean, how am I matching up? How do I rate myself in this day? And really, there's a great old adage that says comparison is the thief of joy. And I honestly believe that it is. It disguises itself as a friend to begin with. And it says, hey, I'm just here to help you gauge yourself and really figure out where you fit in the scope of things. All the while behind your back, it's telling you your worth and value are never going to match up. And it's never going to measure up to the things around you. And that chips away at your joy quicker than anything else. When you feel as though I cannot be good enough, you feel the pressure and the weight of joy disappearing. I mean, it just becomes this heaviness of, I can't do it. I can't, and I won't ever.
You're absolutely right. And yet we've never lived in a time in U.S. history, or maybe world history, where comparison has been front and center of our lives, particularly as parents, because parents not only compare themselves, and a lot of it's subconscious, to the other mother. Oh, the other mother is taking her kids skiing tonight and I'm home doing crafts. That other mother is the room mom and she bakes organic food and I don't even like to cook. You know, and then we compare our children against their friends. And I think that what this does is it robs us. It just robs us of enjoying parenting, of enjoying ourselves, of enjoying our kids.
You know what? I really believe, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but I earnestly believe that we do not take time to see the value and worth in who we are in the scope of everything that's been created. I think the world needs you. And I say that in all earnesty. There is something beautiful in being unified. I get that. But I've also seen there is something almost magnificent in diversity. In the fact that we bring and offer all these different layers of who we are. And I wonder how many times those get suppressed because we're so wrapped up in trying to be somebody we're not. We see a picture of somebody's vacation photos come across our screen and we think, I want to go there. Well, have you ever thought that where you are in your home may be the most incredible vacation spot for your kids? They may feel at rest. They may feel as though, Mom, I'm going to go enjoy this room. You've set up this home so beautifully for me that I feel like I'm resting here. Contentment really is a cousin to joy, and she fights all of that comparison junk so easily. And we forget to just look at what you already have, look at who you already are, because I guarantee half the time you'll discover it's enough. It's really all you need.
It is, and I think that we live in fear so much. In fear that if we don't have or we don't get or we don't do, then something bad will happen. And once we learn to push all of those things out of our thoughts, we don't feel it anymore. I love how in Laugh It Up, you discuss joy as a weapon of sorts. You talk about joy as a weapon that can be used against shame and other things. One year in particular, you were in college, you decided to run for homecoming queen as a joke. A guy insulted you terribly, and it was like he put a knife in your heart. And I can just feel for that young college girl. And you felt tremendous shame after that, so shameful that you wanted to kill yourself. Can you tell us about that time and how joy helped push all that shame out of your life?
You know, I had felt as though being a funny person, you want to make the room laugh, you want to make the room light up when you walk into it. But then you also start, when you're not content, and this is where comparison was playing a huge part in my life, you're finding these moments where you feel the weight of maintaining something that you don't need to maintain. For example, there's an old quote I heard that says, anything that you obtain through self-promotion, you need to sustain through self-promotion.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And anything that I was offering through this incredible version of Candace that my friends were laughing at and loving, I had to maintain that everywhere I went to now really just identify in this new role of the fun. And all the while I was suppressing who I really was. And how I can't even tell you how quickly it turned in my mind when that insult came that, you know what? They're not laughing with me. They're laughing at me. And I got so tired of being the butt of everybody's joke. And I thought, I'll end it all right now. And that's how quickly you can spiral in your thoughts. And especially, I don't mean to speak trite of this, and I am not speaking trite of it, but one that is struggling with suicidal thoughts, you may never suspect that they're at the end of their rope wanting to end it all, because it can come in an instant, and it can also take a life in an instant. And the only thing I've learned is that it just takes one more second, one more step, hope for one more minute, that things will get better. If you could start there, everything that's clouding your thoughts and your judgment, it will clear. It will clear like a fog. It'll clear, but it may take time. And I needed people to see that joy was present even in those darkest of thoughts. I mean, if I felt as though she was a person and I personified her, I felt as though she was standing in the corner of the room saying, please don't, please don't, please don't. There's more. I'm here. I've got days ahead of you that you're going to laugh and you're going to see your kids. You're going to get married. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, those are the things where I feel like joy is a weapon. She's fighting. She's fighting for us to see the days that we can't see ahead.
It's hard, though. you know, and I'm imagining you in a college dorm or college bathroom, whatever, going, I can't take this anymore. I am what those people say I am. Just end it all right now. When you're in that really dark place and you're feeling tremendous shame, because really bad depression is about shame. It's about the self-hating the self. So it's really hard to go, where is joy? But you can make a conscious decision that even is disconnected with your feelings. It has to be, because your feelings are so horrible at that time, to say, if I can just hang on one more minute, I know that life can get better. And you talk about joy being connected with hope. You say that joy cannot exist without hope. What do you mean by that?
Well, very specifically, when I started being called an ambassador for joy by different people in media, or as they would book me to come speak, I thought, I really need to research this subject. I need to figure it out. And what I found most when I would go and look at writings about joy is that it's intrinsically connected to hope. Everybody wants joy, but it really is just a byproduct. It's a byproduct of something much deeper in you that is resolved, that says, I have hope. Today is not my last day. I have hope. Tomorrow can be better. And because of that, you can laugh at the days to come. You can laugh at the future. You can look ahead and go, you know what? This isn't my worst. This is not my worst. And if you don't have hope, though, I mean, think about the most hopeless of situations where you feel like it's not getting better. I'll never be enough. I never can make it through this. If your mind is stuck on I nevers, where is your joy in that? How can you even see clear enough to find joy when you're in the midst of that spiral downward thinking and have zero hope? I earnestly believe hope is really the main thing, and joy is this incredible byproduct that comes from having a heart that's hopeful.
And it makes perfect sense, because you can't have joy if you believe you're stuck and nothing's ever going to change and life is horrible, so you might as well just give it up. If you can hang on to that something better will follow, then the joy, absolutely will come.
And you know what? This also speaks to a victim mentality too. And, I haven't spoken about this, but I feel like I need to in this podcast. I feel like somebody listening really needs to hear this. We could play a victim even with situations where we have wrongfully been treated, and we are justified in every ounce of we have to not forgive and to be a victim the rest of our lives. But I will tell you this, you have to have hope that maybe they won't change, but you can change, that you can rise above it. Listen, my pastor had this incredible analogy, and he talked about how you trap a monkey. And I don't know if you know how to trap a monkey, but...
Nope, never thought about it.
Okay, think about it this way. They take a coconut and they hollow out enough space for a monkey's hand and put a banana inside of it. And then they chain the coconut to a ground. And here's what's crazy is a monkey will go and they'll put their hand in that coconut to a banana, but they can't pull it out because of the shape of the banana. They don't let go, so then they're stuck only because they won't let go.
Right.
And I think forgiveness is a huge thing that we have to learn. Just like that monkey, if you would just let go, you would be free.
Yes.
And I feel like people need to know if they would just let go, they could be free from all of that junk, all of that resentment, and actually find joy once again.
It really is a ruse, isn't it? Because you hang on to resentment and you hang on to what people have done wrong to you. And I know there are parents out there who feel this towards their adult children. My child has turned his back on me. My child has done horrible things. I did my best for my child, and now they're blaming me for their horrible life, and they don't want anything to do with their child. But you're absolutely right. You've got to give it up. You've got to give it up, because that child may be going off and living their own life, and you're stuck miserable in your home. Wow. It is a choice. Wow. It's a choice to just give it up and say, I forgive, because I am going to be free from the weight and the control that this anger that I have towards someone else hurting my life or wrecking my life. It's just going to take you down. But there is freedom, and you can do that. And you know what? It doesn't take that long. It can almost there can be almost an instant relief. But if you've ever really forgiven somebody who's hurt you deeply, once you say, okay, I don't want how it's making me feel right now. I'm tired of feeling like the victim. I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
This is the way life is. It really, it's almost like an overnight relief.
Yeah.
Parents, I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Candace Payne. We need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Whether it's making holiday cookies with the kids or ringing in the new year with a few glasses of bubbly, some of our favorite traditions make it hard to feel our best. Healthy family dinners are possible, even as schedules get hectic. Sunbasket's weekly meal deliveries are making that happen. Sunbasket makes it easy for you to cook delicious meals at home. You pick from 12 weekly recipes and they deliver organic and clean ingredients right to your door. Everything is pre-measured and easy to prep, so you can get a healthy and delicious meal on the table in about 30 minutes. Their family menu lets you prepare delicious meals the whole family will love. This holiday season, skip the grocery store and the parking lot madness. Discover how easy it is to get healthy, clean meals on the table with Sunbasket. Friends, I've been using Sunbasket for months and I love them. I don't have to plan meals, go to the grocery store, or fight the lines. It makes my life so simple. Go to sunbasket.com/Meg today to get $35 off your first order. That's sunbasket.com/Meg for $35 off. sunbasket.com/Meg. Friends, I took a wonderful family trip out west this summer with my kids and grandkids and took a lot of beautiful photos with my phone. Instead of letting any beautiful photos you took get lost in your cell phone, you can bring them to life with canvaspeople.com. Canvaspeople.com is a really easy-to-use photo-to-canvas service that takes your favorite photo memories and turns them into beautiful artwork for you to enjoy every day. Hang them on the walls of your home, office, or give them as a gift. It's perfect for preserving all those family memories. Better yet, all canvases are high quality and made here in the U.S. with fast shipping and great attention to detail. And with over 1 million customers served, you can buy with confidence. Normally, 11 by 14 canvases are priced at $69.99, but now, for a limited time, you can get a free 11 by 14 canvas. Just pay shipping. Simply use the promo code MEG to take advantage of this offer. That's canvaspeople.com and promo code MEG for a free 11 by 14 canvas. Now, you describe your husband in your book as wonderful, and I love how you met and became best friends, and then you started a date, and I love the stories that you tell about your husband. So you have a great husband and a great marriage. How long have you been married?
We'll be married 16 years in December.
Oh, well, you are gracious enough to talk about the down parts in your marriage as well. And you talk about a knockdown, drag-out fight that the two of you had one day right in front of one of your kids, who was small at the time. You were going to leave him.
Yeah.
And then you had an epiphany about saying never, but meaning always. You have a whole chapter on that. Saying never, but meaning always. What does that mean?
You know, I really feel like when somebody says don't do something, you automatically want to do it. Do you know what I'm talking about? You're like, don't look at this on the wall. And then what do? Your eyes go to that on the wall. And that's how we had been reactive in our marriage when we would fight and we would argue. We were looking at, okay, so how are we going to fix this fight? How are we going to fix this issue? Well, I guess we promised that we're never going to fight like this again. We're never going to talk like this again to each other. We're never going to be ugly. We're never going to, hit below the belt. We're all, we're never going to do these things. And all of a sudden I realized my list of nevers was doing me no good.
Right.
And I needed to switch it. And so instead it really was this epiphany. It was just this deep well that flushed over me saying, change every never to always. Mm-hmm. Change it, flip it. And I remember how free I felt the moment that I switched the phrase, I will never leave Chris, to I will always stay with Chris.
Yeah.
There was so much more power in choosing the positive than trying to fight the negative.
Yes.
And for us, it absolutely changed our marriage. It rescued it. It restored it. And listen, we have more passion than we've ever had in our marriage now because of that moment that happened years ago.
Well, I will tell you, it does get better and better. Our kids are grown, and my husband and I we're truly like one person. I mean, we get angry at each other, and we fight and we tussle, and then we're soulmates the next day. This is such a great exercise that any married person can do, or person who just loves another person. It could be a parent to a child.
Yeah.
You change sentences like this: I will never leave. I will never hold a grudge. I will never assume the worst of Chris. I will never keep a record of wrongs. I will never be quick to condemn our relationship. That's where you're living. And then you turned it on its head and you write, I will always stay. I will always forgive. I will always hope for the best in Chris. I will always wipe the slate clean at the end of the day. Ooh, ouch. I will always champion and fight for our marriage. Now, simple changes, but that is a game changer in any relationship.
It is. And you want to know why? It's because you're empowered. You don't feel like you're on the defense all the time. You don't feel like I am against the ropes. I'm being assaulted with punches to the face. You don't feel like that when you say, wait a minute. Nope. I'm standing up and I'm saying I'm here. And I have control, my feet are planted, and I'm in the middle of the ring. A lot of the times we feel, and we pin ourselves there by the way that we speak to ourselves internally. Hey, I'm against the ropes, everything's horrible, everything's coming down, my marriage is failing. The reality is that you have the ability to put your feet firm, stand up, and get a different stance with how you fight for your marriage, fight for your relationships, fight for your friendships, fight for your children, by just flat out saying, I'm in control here, and I choose to remain positive regardless the words that come against me. And that is power. You've empowered yourself.
You know, you're absolutely right. This is a parenting podcast, and I'm very deliberate as a pediatrician about working hard with parents, because I learned that many years ago, if I really wanted to help kids, I had to help their parents, because parents second guess themselves. They beat themselves up. They compare themselves to other people. I mean, I think if there's a shame-riddled population out there, and a population that feels terribly guilty, it's parents, because it seems in our culture, they can never let themselves off the hook, and they never feel like they're getting it right. So I would like you as a mom and a person who is discovering joy, because I think it is kind of a journey.
Yeah.
To talk very specifically about why, well, you talked about at the beginning of the program, that how a parent having joy really changes the trajectory of a child's life. So, I mean, you felt that as a child.
Yeah.
And I imagine your children will grow up and feel your joy, and they will learn to be very positive. But can you give a couple of very specific tips to parents who might be struggling right now, thinking, oh, I've blown it with my kids. My life is horrible. What can I do? What would Candace Payne, the ambassador of joy, if you were having coffee with one or two of those people, what would you say?
Well, I would tell you what I have on repeat in my own head as a mama. Listen, nobody's going to get it perfect. Anytime that you fail with your children, you ask for forgiveness. You humble yourself. That is the first thing I do. Is I am no better than my children. They are not just little junior people or junior examples of, small lives and small minds. What they are is they are valuable people that will eventually be valuable adults in this society. And sometimes I speak to them as though they are a friend my own age, and just look them in the eye and say, I did not make the best choice in front of you just then, or I took out all of my hurts on you just then, and I am so sorry. Can you forgive me? And I ask for forgiveness for my kids. That stages so much freedom to happen with how you feel as a parent with your child. But then the second thing that I've really learned to put on repeat in my head when it comes to comparison about other kids or other mamas and daddies and how they're doing versus myself, God chose me to be their mama. God gave those children to me. And that says more than anybody else can say about how I'm raising them. When I feel that It's not like a weightiness. It's this, when I feel that exhilaration, the fact that I have been trusted enough to raise their lives, then I realize everything that I am, everything that I bring to the table, good, bad, and different, was meant to shape them. And then I just let them have all of me. You know what I mean? I don't hold anything back. And I think as parents, we feel maybe we're more scared of replicating what we grew up in. And, I'm going to make the same mistakes. I'm going to do this the bad way. And I'm going to they're going to be on a couch with a counselor at 30 years old talking about me. You know, I mean, I get all of those feelings. But the reality is what they gain and learn from you as mama and daddy is exactly what they need to. Even in the bad. Listen, I've learned things from my parents that I say, I'm not going to do that. And you know that too. As a person, you've said that about your own parents. I'm not going to do that.
Sure.
But don't try to hide who you are and hide and change and move around. That causes the unnecessary tension in your home that doesn't need to be there. Be fully present with who you are. Own it. Own your bad days. Own your good days. And be humble with your kids. I cannot say and stress that enough. Be humble, because everybody has a great BS meter. And even your small children do as well. And I will tell you this right now, that every human life values authenticity way more than integrity. If you find somebody that has this moral failure and they're in the news, what do? We slander them for 2 days until they apologize wholeheartedly. And then they come with this heartfelt apology and we're like, oh, you're forgiven. You're fine. It's all under the bridge. And
we forget about it. Oh, okay.
It is because we value realness, and your children will value you being 100% real and honest with them in ways that are appropriate for them. Listen, I'm not going to tell my 7-year-old details about my sex life with my husband ever, right? And I don't think I'll ever tell my kids that. No. But I will say that.
Well, you know what? He doesn't want to hear it.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not saying don't have a filter, but I am saying the moments that you screw up. Listen, I have a perfect example for this. The other day, my son was on fidget spinner craziness. He had 9 of them out, stacking them up, playing, and then they're falling everywhere, and all I wanted was 3 seconds of peace. And I'm not saying 30 seconds even. I'm saying 3. And I quickly looked at him and I said, oh, bud, I said, sometimes you're just such a distraction for what I'm trying to do. And he melted down and he starts crying. And I stopped what I was doing and I said, baby, what is wrong? And he said, you called me a distraction. And I went over and listen, I could have been justified and said, you know what, you are. Stop it.
Right.
But instead,
put those fidgets away. Yeah,
exactly. Go put them up. I told you, which is, it's the natural bent of us, what we want to do when we parent. But instead, I stopped everything. I put down what I was doing. I got up and I went to him. I held him and hugged him and I said, I am so sorry. Can you forgive me? You are not a distraction. And wherever I had spoken these words that made him feel one way, I started replacing them with 5 more that spoke the opposite. And I'm telling you, if you could just humble yourself and replace anything negative that you're doing right now on the trajectory of being a parent and you feel like I'm screwing it up here. Okay, well, admit your screw ups. And then wherever you screwed up, double your efforts to do something better. Don't just do it one time. Don't just say, I told you I was sorry. But listen, you cannot combat one negative thought with one positive thought. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. It's got to be multiple because we cling to the negative more than we do the good. And so with my little boy, I just said, you are not a distraction. You are the best thing that's ever happened in my life. Do you know there's not another single 7-year-old boy I love besides you? Hey, do you know that one day you're going to look at me and you're going to say, Mom, I want you to do this with me. And I'm going to be like, thank you for changing my whole schedule. I needed to get away. You know, I mean, I tried to replace every ounce of negativity. And I wish that parents would know it is possible to change the atmosphere in your home. Just humble yourself, embrace who you are, and have some fun and lighten up.
Because, you know, your kids will love you as you are. They really will love you as you are. And I love you saying that everybody has a BS meter And even our children do.
Yeah.
And so our kids know, when we're BSing them. But being a screw up as a parent is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are. I mean, that's what we do. It's part of it, and it's okay. So embrace it, face it, and, just kind of deal with it. Candace, this has been delightful. Your book, Laugh It Up, Embrace Freedom and Experience Defiant Joy, is such an inspiration.
Thank you.
I would recommend to every one of our listeners who have not seen the Chewbacca Mom video, you have to see it, not just to see the Chewbacca face, but to see Candace, because you really are, you ooze joy, and it's infectious, and it's something that we so desperately need in our parenting and with our kids, and to also know that joy can be had by anyone.
That's right.
Anyone, but it's a choice. Thank you so much, Candace.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
All right, parents, let's get social. I want to hear from you and interact with you. You can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MegMeekerMD, or if you have a question, send it to askmeg@megmeekermd.com. Today I have a question from Diane, who writes, Dear Dr. Meg, I've got a beautiful, smart, strong-willed 7-year-old girl. For the most part, she's your average girl. She's smart, which seems to me to be our issue. She's too smart. She's a manipulator. I think she's a bully, and we've even told her so. As a family, we looked up the definition just to make sure. Wow. I feel like we've tried everything to discipline her for being disrespectful. Swift pops on the tail, no television, no iPad, no playing with friends. We even canceled a trip to Disney World because she threatened a girl at school and was suspended. She flat out says that no punishment affects her. I feel like a broken record reminding her to be kind and treat others the way she wants to be treated. When I feel like we've possibly turned a corner, she goes right back to her ways. When I ask her about why she did it, she said she just can't control it. How do I discipline this child effectively? Please help. Well, Diane, you have your hands full, and I think when you said you have a strong-willed girl on your hands, that's a bit of an understatement. Let's talk about one thing first. When you're disciplining a strong-willed child, remember, kids who have strong wills are stubborn, they're tenacious, they dig their heels in, and their goal is to outlast you. They want to prove to themselves that they can be more stubborn than anyone in the world, and that includes you. So number one, you need to recognize what you're up against, and this is a young gal who will obey you eventually, but it might take months or a couple of years. Truly, strong-willed kids will hold out that long to try to see if they can break you. But you look down at your little girl, and you have your arms crossed across your chest, and you look down and you say to yourself, one of us is going to go down. It's not going to be me. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm more tenacious than you, so give up. And over the years, she will give up, but it's going to take a long time. So remember, parenting a strong-willed child is about outlasting them. So stick with it. Number two, I would revisit your discipline techniques. Many times what happens is parents of strong-willed kids get tired and they cave. Now, I don't know if this is your situation. For instance, they will get frustrated. It's going to be the 15th time that day that their child did the exact same thing. You've taken away TV for the day, and then you add a day, and you add a day, and you add a day. And then after a couple of days, you are so tired of hearing this child harangue at you that you give her back the TV, or you give her back her iPad, or you say, okay, I can't take it, play with your friends. So no matter what, when you implement a consequence, you cannot cave. If she needs to go with no TV for a month, she goes with no TV for a month. No iPad for a month. No playing with friends for a month. If you need to make it longer and tougher, you make it longer and tougher. That's what strong-willed kids need. And I'm proud of you that you canceled a trip to Disney World because you are showing her that you really mean business. 3, don't feel that what you're doing isn't working just because you don't see change today. Many times with strong-willed children, it takes a good plan repeated 100 times. With kids who are not strong-willed, it takes you, 5 times to repeat it, and they're like, okay, I give up. But with strong-willed kids, you have a good plan, solid consequences in place. You don't cave on there. don't cave on them. She knows the rules. You know the rules. Nobody screams. You implement the consequence. Sometimes you just need to do that over and over and over. It doesn't mean that the system's wrong. It means that you need more time. Finally, and I don't want to disturb you, but when I see kids who are really having a hard time feeling empathy, it makes me a bit unnerved. So what you need to do, there's some kids that don't have empathy naturally. They don't get why you have to be nice to people. They need to be taught empathy. So what I would encourage you to do with your daughter once a week is you need to find someone in your community or some place in your community that needs help. And the two of you need to go and help together. Maybe you need to take her to a food kitchen on Sunday and help feed the homeless. Maybe you need to go to Salvation Army and help fold clothes and stack shelves. Maybe you need to cook a meal for somebody in your neighborhood who's having a hard time. In other words, you find some good service things to do and you have your daughter do them with you. You need to model empathy over and over and over. And if you find with all of these things in the next 6 months or a year, your daughter's really not coming around and she's really not showing any signs of kindness towards others, I would have her evaluated by a psychologist. Sometimes kids can have some attachment issues, and this causes them to not feel any kind of empathy. But I wouldn't start right there. I'd do that in 6 months or a year if you're not making headway. Parents, I love answering your questions, so please keep sending them in to me. You can email me any parenting question to askmeg@megmeekermd.com. I want to thank my guest, Candace Payne, for her wonderful conversation and her terrific book, Laugh It Up, Embrace Freedom and Experience Defiant Joy. Her book is available now everywhere books are sold, and friends, it's such a joy to read. Everybody needs to read it. It's fun, it's light, it's easy reading, and just hearing her story and recognizing that if somebody grew up in a situation like Candace did, homeless, and still find joy, anybody can find joy. So now let's recap my points to ponder. 1, remember to laugh with your children. 2, make joy a priority. 3, don't take yourself so seriously. And 4, refuse those self-destructive negative tapes that run all day in your head. So remember, parents, until next time, great kids are raised, not born.
Hey, this is Bobby, producer of Meg Meeker's Parenting Great Kids podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening to episode 42, Experiencing Defiant Joy. And thanks to you, Dr. Meg's parenting revolution has grown to over 1 million downloads. You can like Dr. Meeker on Facebook and follow her on Twitter and Instagram @MegMeekerMD. Just as a reminder, go to megmeekermd.com and sign up for her newsletter for giveaway opportunities and updates. And don't forget to share the podcast, write us a review, and click subscribe so you won't miss an episode.